Hello, this is Angela with Parkrose Hausfrau. It's been a few weeks since I've been here in this space on this channel making videos. I have been super sick. It was not the Rona, it was probably influenza. Despite being vaccinated, I was laid out for a solid week, like the sickest I've been in probably, gosh, forever, like at least a decade. And thankfully my family helped take care of the cooking and cleaning, and it was over a holiday weekend as well. So that kind of eased the burden a little bit because I was completely laid out. But I'm back, so thanks for being patient and understanding that I was gone for a little bit. So I promised in my last video that I would try and have the next video be a more skills-based video instead of a kind of homemaking philosophy video. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to share with you my favorite recipe for dinner rolls. Now, I bake bread pretty much every single day, a yeast bread every single day, at least one loaf. Sometimes it's sourdough. I have starter going all of the time. Sometimes it's a loaf of sandwich bread. Sometimes it's dinner rolls. Obviously, it depends on what my kids are eating right now and what their preferences are and what my meal planning is for the week. I really enjoy the early morning ritual of making bread. Now, sometimes I knead by hand and sometimes I use my handy dandy KitchenAid. This is a wedding present 20 years ago, and it is such a workhorse. When folks ask what my number one appliance is in the kitchen that I can't do without, it's definitely the KitchenAid. I use it almost every single day. So I have a dough hook attachment here, and today I'm just, gonna kind of take it easy a little bit. I still feel kind of low energy. I'm still kind of recovering, and I'm gonna let the KitchenAid do the work for me and do all of the kneading. So I found that dinner rolls are a really good place to start to learn to make bread. They're much more forgiving than other kinds of bread, and you can really kind of mix and match ingredients based on what you have around. And I'm constantly trying out new recipes. For Thanksgiving, I used the King Arthur flour big batch recipe, and I will put that in the link. If you need to make a really quick, easy, huge batch of rolls, you cannot beat those. But for flavor and texture, my standby recipe that I've been using for ages is really my favorite, and it is a potato roll recipe. What time do I want to serve my rolls? This is a skill my mom taught me really early on. When you are thinking about any kind of culinary preparation, what time do I want to serve the dish? And count backward from there, and then you know when you need to start cooking. Now, obviously, rolls don't need to be fresh out of the oven, but I also don't want to have the rest of dinner ready and we're still waiting on the final rise and bake off of my rolls. So I want to count backwards. Now, if I'm making them first thing in the morning, not an issue. If I'm starting after lunch, I really want to pay attention to time, because rolls typically take, depending on how cold your kitchen is, 2 rounds of rise that can take anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes each. And then they need to be baked for a final 20 to 28 minutes, depending on the rolls. So you really got to watch your time. So pro tip, always count back from when you want to serve your dish, when you want to serve your rolls, and make sure that you are leaving yourself enough time. So I'm ready to start these rolls now. They take about 9 to 10 minutes total to get going before the first rise. So really quick when you have a KitchenAid that can do the kneading for you. It's more like 15 to 18 minutes if I'm gonna knead them by hand. Kneading by the KitchenAid is more efficient, and you don't have to knead for as long of a period of time to get the same kind of gluten production that you do when you knead by hand. This recipe is going to make 16 large dinner rolls, so it is the right size to use my KitchenAid. Again, you can knead by hand if you want to, but I'm just going to have the KitchenAid do the work for me this morning. So I have my dough hook attachment on, and I want you to know, as I'm going through this, all of the detailed recipe and description for the process is down below, but you can sub in and out a little bit based on what you have on hand, and I'll be mentioning that throughout the video, ways that you can sub in and out. So I'm going to start with 3 cups of bread flour. Now, this is sifted. I buy my bread flour in 50-pound bags from Restaurant Supply, and that means sometimes it can be a little clumpy because it's been maybe sitting at the bottom of the rack and been compressed. And so I always sift. Now, if you don't have bread flour, you can use 3 cups of all-purpose unbleached flour and add a couple tablespoons of gluten to it as well. Here you can get gluten in the bulk bin at the regular grocery store, and you can also get it from Bob's Red Mill. Really handy if you are needing to boost the gluten content in your flour. And that gluten is going to give us the nice rise and nice texture that we want. So we're going to start with our 3 cups of flour, and to that we are going to add 2.5 cups of yeast. I also get my yeast in bulk from Restaurant Supply. It is substantially cheaper than getting those jars of yeast, and I don't want to get the packets of yeast. They're also very expensive and produce a lot of plastic waste. So I get this in 2-pound increments at Restaurant Supply. Oh, excuse me, 4-pound increments at Restaurant Supply. So 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and 3 tablespoons of sugar. Feel free and sub in honey if you want instead. I use about 2 tablespoons of honey if I'm substituting out the sugar. Now for a darker roll, you could also substitute 2 tablespoons of white sugar and 1 tablespoon of molasses instead of the 3 tablespoons of white sugar. To that, I'm going to need to add fat. So to get that good rise, we need the sugar and the yeast, and to get the texture we want and the kind of richness, we need to add a fat. And so I'm going to add here 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. Now you can mix and match this as well. You could use 5 tablespoons of butter or 5 tablespoons of oil, or mix and match as you see fit. Butter's really expensive right now, and again, I buy my extra virgin olive oil at Restaurant Supply, and it's substantially cheaper than buying a small bottle, so I'm kind of balancing my ratio. Now, these are potato rolls, and this is what makes my kids really love them. They love the texture and flavor of a potato roll. So I have a 1/2 cup of potato flakes. Again, I buy it in bulk at Restaurant Supply, but it's also quite cheap at our local grocery store in the bulk bin. So to those potato flakes, I'm also going to add a 1/4 cup of powdered milk. Now, if you don't have powdered milk on hand, when you go to add the water, you could put in a proportion of whole milk out of your fridge if you want. That's totally, totally fine. Again, mix and match as you see fit. But really having the milk in there, powdered milk, is easy. It produces a consistent result. Milk is really something that helps the rolls get a nice brownness to them and adds that extra flavor that we really want. So, normally, if I'm going to hand knead dough, I might end up proofing the yeast in some water with the sugar for a bit, but this recipe is so easy. You just take everything and put it right into the KitchenAid, and to that we are going to add between 1 and 1 1/4 cups of water. All right, so I've got my 1 cup of warm water. Now I want this to be warm water so that it really gets the yeast going a little bit quicker and I start to get that nice rise earlier. Now, it's been quite dry because I've been running the wood stove and it's winter, so the house is very dry. So why I have a sliding quantity of water is if I get my dough going and it looks a little bit dry and like it's kind of floury and not coming together, I'm gonna add more water, 1 teaspoon at a time, until I get a good moisture level in my dough. And that's something when you bake bread that is pretty much consistently an issue. The humidity in the room really impacts your water quantity that you add, so just keep an eye on that. So now I'm just gonna dump everything here in my KitchenAid. I'm gonna lock my KitchenAid and I'm gonna put it on setting number 2. I don't want it to go too fast or the flour will bloom out. I want it to gently knead the dough the same way, about the same rhythm that my hands would. So first I'm gonna take off my dough hook. So this is how we're looking initially. Dough hook goes in. Obviously, always want to lock my KitchenAid. Dough hook is going to start on setting 1. And then the highest we're going to go is up to 2 once it gets going. I'm gonna set the timer now for 7 minutes, but I'm not gonna totally walk away. I'm gonna keep an eye on it to make sure I have enough water. So initially your dough will look rather wet, but as it continues to knead, the potato flakes and powdered milk will absorb more and more of the water, and the dough will come together. And something I forgot to mention earlier, and I'll go back and cut in a little note, is that your butter really needs to be soft. It needs to be room temperature or slightly warmed in the microwave. We're gonna let this go for 7 minutes and watch the dough come together. We'll check on it periodically. We don't want to waste this bowl that we just used to measure our flour. We're going to let our bread rise in this bowl as well. No need to wash it out, but I do need to grease it. So I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the bowl. So this will be where we let our rolls rise for their first rise. I'm always trying to reduce the amount of dishes I have to do. I don't have a dishwasher. So since this only got used to measure flour, no reason it can't be the bowl in which my dough rises. All right, our time is up, and here's how our dough is looking. So my next step is going to be to take the dough, and you can see the quality here. It's a really nice dough. It's not sticky. It's really easy to work with. And I'm just going to take it and kind of put it into a little ball shape. And it's going to need to rise now. So again, I have my oiled bowl here. I'm going to take it and oil the top of it and then flip it over. And this is going to need to sit here until it's at least doubled in size, if not a little bit more. So 60 to 90 minutes. And the temperature of your kitchen makes a really big difference. Now, I know a lot of modern recipes recommend using a piece of saran wrap or plastic wrap over the top. I'm really old fashioned and I don't use plastic cling wrap. So let me move my coffee out of the way here. I'm going to use a linen tea towel, and I find that that's sufficient. It rises really nicely. I mostly just want to keep it from getting contaminated and kind of trap the heat in there. So I have a heavy vintage linen tea towel, and I find it works really, really well. So I'm going to let this sit here in a warm location for 60 minutes and check it. If it hasn't doubled after 60 minutes, I'm going to give it another 30. I'll be back. All right, the dough's been rising for about 75 minutes. So again, it may be 60 minutes, it may be as many as 90 minutes, depending on how cold your kitchen is. But this has doubled in size, and now it is time to form the rolls and start our second rise. So we're gonna need a 9x13 casserole dish lined with a sheet of parchment paper. I've said before, I very, very much prefer using parchment paper to any other kind of liner. You can use it multiple times. I don't know if you can see that it's a tiny bit browned on the edges. I have baked with this sheet of parchment 3 days in a row, and today will be number 4. Eventually it starts to get looking crispy and a little bit burnt, or it starts to get brittle, and then I go ahead and I just put it in the compost. But parchment paper can be used and reused and reused, especially for bread. So I just put it in here, and this will make sure that our rolls don't stick. You don't need to grease this, you don't need to flour it. All right, so I'm gonna need my cutting board here. My bread board is actually covered with stuff. I'm sorting out my baking station, so it's not usable today, but I can just use a cutting board. And I've got my dough scraper. This is a great one I got on Buy Nothing from my neighbor. It's super sharp and great for cutting dough. So I'm gonna take my dough here, nice and puffy. You can see what a lovely, easy dough this is to work with. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna put it on my cutting board. And I like to pull it out into like almost a rectangle, a little rounded on the ends. And I'm gonna cut this into 16 pieces. So however that's easiest for you to do. So it helps if you put a little bit of olive oil on your hands. That'll keep your hands from sticking during this process. And then you're gonna take each of the pieces that you've cut and you're just gonna roll it in your hand. until it looks like a roll. This is a great easy step for kids to help with. If the bottom looks a little wonky, that's okay. You can be a little bit more perfectionistic about pinching it down and rolling it really smooth so the bottom is super smooth, or you could just not. It'll taste great either way. So mathematically, it works best and easiest to cut our rolls into 16 pieces, but in the pan, it fits nicest if it's actually 3 by 5, 15. So however you're more comfortable doing it, for me, I really like the symmetry of having 15. So I choose to make each roll a little bit larger. Again, this is quick and dirty. These are just everyday rolls. They're not shaped to perfection, but that's okay. They're going to taste fantastic. So now I'm going to move them over here and I'm going to cover them again with my linen cloth, and I'm going to set the timer for 60 minutes and I'm going to go for a run and I'll be back to check them. They may need as long as 90 minutes again. It really depends on the temperature in your kitchen. So these are going to proof and rise quite a bit. And then when I get back, I'm going to bake them off. So I'm going to check on them in 60 minutes, understanding they may need as much as 90. All right, forgive the background noise, my kids in class, but here are the rolls risen. So you can see they have proofed sufficiently. And again, because they're kind of rustic, I didn't take the time to be really intricate and deliberate in forming them in balls. They're a little rough looking. I don't care. They look great. They're going to taste great. And they're going to go in the oven now. It is preheated to 350 degrees. And these will bake for 22 to 25 minutes. Check them to make sure they are sufficiently golden brown. Because they have the milk powder and the butter and the potato flakes in them, they will get a nice golden hue. Alrighty, please forgive the horrible fluorescent lighting in my kitchen. Here's the rolls out of the oven. You want to make sure that they're not too dark on top because they do brown on the bottom more first. You can see what I mean. Ooh, still super hot. They brown quite a bit more on the bottom than they do on the top. So they want just a little bit of golden blush on the top, but not super dark or they'll be too dark on the bottom. Forgive my boiling water in the background. I've got to get some orzo going to go with our beef stew for dinner. We're going to have orzo, a side of peas, beef stew with prunes and stewed tomatoes, and rolls. All right, so there you have it. Fresh, easy potato rolls made from scratch, delicious, light and flaky. A perfect accompaniment to dinner and a perfect way to start diving in to making homemade bread. So thank you for watching today. I hope that you feel encouraged and inspired to make more of your own baked goods at home, particularly reaching out and trying for those yeasted breads if you haven't done it before. Knowing that rolls are super forgiving, that they're really something that everybody enjoys, no matter what. If you pull out a basket of homemade rolls at dinner, it's gonna be a hit no matter how they turned out. So thank you for watching today. I'll be back next week with more ecological homemaking and frugal domesticity. Enjoy your weekend.